Hi, this is the Peaceful Prepper. Today I want to continue talking about protective masks and take a closer look at disposable respirators and some of the features that can impact their fit, function, and comfort. If you're interested in my longer video about protective masks in general, I'll put the link below. I think disposable respirators are particularly appealing for emergency preparedness. The critical elements that make a respirator effective are a fit with an airtight seal, the capacity of the filter, and whether you have the mask when you need it. Disposable respirators, they don't filter gases or vapors and probably aren't as effective even with particulates as some larger masks, but they're compact, relatively inexpensive, and very lightweight, so they can be ideal for emergency kits, and it's much more likely that they might be with us when we need them. I want to briefly review the categories of disposable respirators. I'll probably keep referring to N95 masks, but the mask features apply to all the other categories as well. In the US, and I think North America, the masks are rated with a letter and a number. N stands for not resistant to oil, R for somewhat resistant to oil, and P for strongly resistant to oil. The number refers to the percentage of particles filtered, so N95 filters 95% of particles but no resistance to oil. P100, 100% of particles and strongly resistant to oil. There are also N95 surgical masks, which are, in addition to their N95 certification, cleared by the FDA as fluid resistant. The European categorization is different, with FFP2 masks being the closest equivalent to N95 and FFP3 masks to N99 or N100. I'm sure there are other international standards as well, but I'm not familiar with them. If you have any information about them, please let us know in the comments. That would be great. These are the masks that I currently own, and I'm going to try to be fancy and show you some features on these masks, and the ones that I don't have an example of, I'm going to try to put a picture, I think, over here someplace and see if I can do it. One of the most important things for a mask to be effective is the airtight fit. So first I want to talk about features that could affect the fit and you might want to think about if you're trying to get a good fit, because some models will fit different faces better. So first off, they actually have different sizes. Not every model comes in more than one size, but many do. And for example, they're different models, but they're both 3M masks. This is small and this is regular. So you can see I think you can see that there's a big difference between the size of the small and the medium. They all should also come with an adjustable nose clip that's usually just a little metal strip up top, and they look a little bit different. This is just a straight bar. This one's a little bit fancier. This one, you can't see the strip, but you can feel it. And it also has some foam over the nose. There are also masks, none of these have them, that have a face seal. And when I was looking at different options, it seemed that the models with the higher numbers or the more expensive models, for instance, the N100 or P100 masks that I saw, had a face seal. So I'm hoping there's a picture of one right there now, and that helps to make a better seal against your face. They also have either come with adjustable straps or stapled straps. So all of these are stapled straps. See, that's just stapled right on there. And you can make some adjustments to the fit by where you place the elastics, the straps. But on some models, again, it tends to be the higher numbers. You can actually adjust the size of the straps, and that would help with fit quite a bit as well. They also come in a variety of shapes. So these three are probably what we think of most often in terms of N95 are the cup shape. This is flat fold. And there's also something called a duckbill, and I'm going to hopefully have a picture of that up there. The choice of features can also affect how well the mask functions. So one of the thing you'll frequently see are exhalation valves. So this has an exhalation valve, this does. Both of these obviously are without exhalation valves. And it is supposed to both help reduce the resistance to breathing when you exhale, but it can make the breathing is easier, it can keep your face cooler and reduce moisture buildup, which can cause fogging of glasses above. As I mentioned earlier, the N95 surgical mask is both rated, which is what this is rated both as an N95 particulate mask, but also fluid resistant, like surgical masks should be. Here's an example, another mask that I have at home of just a regular surgical mask, not a respirator, but that can help protect either the wearer from infectious bodily fluids getting into their mouth or protect those around the wearer from coughs and bodily fluids coming out of the mouth. In addition to the fluid resistance, many surgical masks, the N95 surgical masks, are also rated as, and I might have to put the wording down, Mycobacterium tuberculosis exposure control. And they've been tested for that as well. The testing was only for that one bacteria, so it doesn't mean that they're resistant to all bacteria, but they have been tested and rated for at least that one. There are also a couple of other features that you can get with N95 masks or P or R 99 or 100. One that it's often called a welding respirator. And what the welding respirator is, the N95 or whatever the filter is, with a flame-resistant outer layer, which in many situations might be very useful. There's also another type of mask that's sold that you may see them say it's rated for organic vapor or acid gas. You want to be careful with that. If you look closely, you'll see that it probably says nuisance level organic vapor or nuisance level acid gas, and it's really an odor control layer to help the smells and tastes of some kinds of particulates. In the comments of my first mask video, Kanzi had an idea of making a mask using the N95 filter and adding a layer of carbon to give it some extra protection. And Kanzi, I have to say, it's a very good idea because the mask manufacturers are doing it too. They thought it was a good idea too. And so that's what, sometimes they'll say odor control or nuisance level vapor or gas, and that's what that is. Another factor to look at in terms of how the mask fits you is the visibility and whether it will interfere with glasses or protective eyewear. So, for instance, this mask, which I have a box of and was sort of my main N95 mask, I've found out in the last week or two when I've been doing this research that it really is way too big for me and doesn't fit well at all. And one of the things, and I think I'm going to be able to put a picture, you can see not only gaps, which I'll show you later, but it comes way up, really interfering with my visibility, and it would interfere with protective eyewear that I had as well. And then the last feature that I wanted to point out is the flat fold model rather than sort of a three-dimensional model, which I think is a really good idea for emergency kits. Because if you have a mask like this and it gets folded into a kit, it's in a bag and it can get scrunched up, you may not be able to get it back into shape to really let it make a good seal, even if it's a good fit for you. Whereas this is much easier to pack. If this didn't have an exhalation valve, it would be even easier. This is the 3M flat fold respirator that I was just showing you. It's pretty comfortable and fits me well. I've put some links below to some videos by OSHA and a couple of manufacturers about fitting and using N95 masks. This is the cup or cone-shaped respirator that has an exhalation valve. And it turns out it's way too big on me. You can see there's a really big gap between the respirator and my chin, so it doesn't provide a good seal at all. The smaller cup-shaped respirator here is a much better fit. This is the surgical mask N95 respirator. I've seen some people suggest that the N95 surgical mask could be put on patients as well as caregivers. And obviously in a highly infectious situation, you do whatever you need to do. But if I was sick, I would hate to have to put one of these on. They're constricting and they get hot, which is a bad combination if you're already coughing or feeling nauseous. A regular surgical mask, however, would be a lot more comfortable for a patient and still provide some protection to their caregivers. So my current respiratory protection plan is to keep my flat fold N95 with the exhalation valve. I really like this mask. It fits me well, and I'm going to keep it for both my home and mobile kits. I have a couple in my car and a couple in my bob right now. This also is a good fit for me, and I'm definitely going to keep this surgical mask at home. And then I have the non-respirator surgical masks, which obviously are very easy to pack into a mobile kit, and I have a couple of these in my bob, and I also have a box of these at home. These two, which I've found out are too large for me to use really as a respirator, I'm going to keep them to use in some of the dusty environments where an airtight seal isn't critical, but they still can really help my comfort level. I also, having a few extra masks that are a different size would be very helpful if I had guests who had a different size or shape of face and we needed to use the masks. And I'm also going to keep some around just for sizing. I hadn't realized how important getting the right fit was, and having some masks of different sizes to help out friends. I'd like to put together some sort of gift kits, emergency kits that I'll give people, and having them try out some masks so that I give them masks of the right size, I think would be great. And you'll notice on all of the masks I have here, I've sort of put a little mark, and that's so that I remember that these are the ones that I've had out, that I've bent around. So I would not, these aren't the ones that I will use when needed. These are ones to try out and play around with. There are a couple masks that I'm going to be looking into. I'm going to try to find some N95 surgical masks that are flat fold, because I'd really like to have some surgical masks in my bob at least. And I very much like the flat fold design for a kit, whereas having a box of these at home makes a lot of sense. The other type I've been considering is a P100 respirator, and that's the equivalent of a HEPA filter. Sorry for the quality of the pictures here. In the comments of the last video, Prepper Potpourri said that she had bought several reusable half-face masks with P100 filters for her family. And when I looked on Amazon, I was really surprised at the expense of the disposable P100 and how relatively inexpensive a reusable mask with the filters included was. The disposable mask is $10.75 right now, and the reusable mask is $14.99, and that includes a pair of P100 filters. Thanks so much for watching. Be safe, be happy, breathe easy.